Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast. I'm your host, Ainsley Bowden. I'm joined by Bert Sines and our special guest today, Jordan Simmons, a contributor regularly on Season Gaming as well. So today we have a special episode for you. We're going to be doing some pre-E3 predictions, basically a list of rumors, expectations, other things that we think we're going to see at E3, the major conferences at E3. And we're actually going to keep score. So all three of us are going to make our predictions. We're going to keep score. And then next week on the post E3 Bitcast, we're going to run through that and see how we did. So we're going to jump right into it here. The first thing we had on our list was relating to BioWare's new IP, at the EA conference and what that was going to look like. So we now know, because we're recording this a little late, so you have to forgive us, but we now know that it's called Anthem. It looks to be a kind of sci-fi type shooter, similar to Destiny in some ways, I guess. But what's interesting about it is that the EA vice president there spoke about Scorpio. He mentioned that at length, and he also said that we're going to see the full gameplay reveal at Microsoft's conference tomorrow. So what that represents in terms of partnership or anything else, we're not sure, but we'll get a much better look at the game tomorrow. So that's AnthemTheGame.com if you want to check out the teaser for yourself. Next, interesting question here coming out of EA as well is, Madden 18's coming. Brady, we know, is going to be on the cover, and they've actually named that edition of Madden the GOAT edition, or greatest of all time. So I'm not really sure why they did that. I think we all know that Joe Montana is the greatest quarterback of all time. Jerry Rice being the greatest player of all time, of course. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there for the viewers, and we can probably just move right along.
Wait a minute.
All right, so we're not even going to let Bert or Jordan speak on this one, guys. We're just going to go ahead and move past that. But no, in all seriousness. So, moving into the real predictions. So, big news, guys, is on a lot of people's mind is Scorpio, right? It's the new hardware everyone's expecting to see. So, our first core question here is, what will the launch date of the Scorpio be? And the closest will win this. So, I'll go first if you like. Given some of the teaser trailers, some of the dates around, what we've heard about software, I'm putting my flag down on October 13th, which happens to be a Friday the 13th. So I just kind of think that's the ballpark of where it will land. What do you guys say? Bert, or do you want to go first or second? Excuse me.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go first. I'm going to throw a random date out there at the end of September. So the last Friday of September, I think it'll launch. I think it's right around the corner. I think most of the hardware is ready to release. And with software coming right around the corner, I think it's September. Jordan.
I'm going to go with November 22nd.
Oh, going late.
But I mean, the reason why I think is because the Xbox 360 released on November 22nd. And the Xbox One also released on November 22nd.
Damn.
Which sort of puts it.
Hey, I'm changing my vote to November 22nd. Is that okay?
Well, I mean, it seems if for whatever the reason they like to sort of release it before, I guess just before the Thanksgiving holiday. They've done it twice. I would figure, I seen the tech a pattern here, so. Hopefully, they'll release it on November 22nd. But actually, hopefully, they'll release it earlier, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Go ahead, Bert.
No, November 22nd lands on a Wednesday. So that's, you're right. That's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving and Black Friday. So that'll be interesting. That's a good prediction.
Yeah, now they might probably announce, obviously, those other dates. I think that the possibility that they're going to announce the pre-orders, during those previous months. But I can't remember the last time. I mean, when has Sony ever released in a September, October timeframe? Oh
gosh, I'd have to go back and look. I don't recall off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can't remember either. But I, it's one of those things where I'm just going based upon what they've done, beforehand. So I'm gonna keep mine at November 22nd.
That works. The good news is we have three vastly different answers, so we'll see what happens. All right. So the next big question, of course, how much will it cost? So I know that Bert and I have talked about this at length. I still think that $499 is the most likely price, where it's not too expensive for the open market. But obviously the system itself has a ton of R&D behind it, and there's there's a lot of technology in there. Excuse me. that seems like it would be too cheap at $3.99. But just to make things interesting and to try to steal a point, hopefully, I'm going to say $3.99. I think that Microsoft's going to open the conference with Scorpio. They're going to go games all through the conference, and at the very end of the conference, no one's still going to know the price. They're going to drop down $3.99 and blow the roof off. That's what I'm going with. Bert, what do you think?
I initially was going to be at $4.99 just because of the amount of hardware and the type of hardware that's there. But however, I'm going to actually move mine to $4.50 or $449.99. So that's where I'm at.
I'm going to stick with $3.99 as well. I'm guessing that likely it's going to be probably $4.99, but I'm going to say $3.99 for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's going to probably force Sony's hand in dropping the price of the Pro down. That's probably what they would have to do. And I'm also actually just really hoping that it's $3.99.
you and the rest of the world, right?
I just want it to be $3.99 because hey, that's a great price point. For it. Obviously they're going to take losses on every box for quite some time. But I stand to see that price point would really, I think, rejuvenate the brand. Yeah,
great. All right. And then the last thing on Scorpio here is the name. There's been a lot of rumors about the name, and no one really knows. So again, I'll go first. And my thought is it is going to be called the Xbox One Scorpio or Xbox Scorpio. And it would be the first time that they stick with a code name for a piece of hardware. But I think for a few reasons they're going to do that this time. One, because Scorpio already has a very positive connotation towards it across the industry. Two, everyone's been calling it Scorpio since last year. They have marketing materials with Scorpio. Other companies have said Scorpio. EA today just said Scorpio to kind of reinforce the point. I just don't see what other name they're going to come up with that would kind of please their fans and please everyone, or even be as well known as Scorpio. So I think it'll be a first, and we're gonna see that. What do you think, Bert?
So I'm actually going to give two answers. The one I actually think is the same. I think it's going to be Xbox One Scorpio. For a while, excuse me. For a wild card, I think it'll be Xbox One Elite S. So that could be something that it could be. But I still think I'm with you. I think it'll be Microsoft One Scorpio.
Xbox, you mean? Xbox Scorpio. Yeah. We're too excited about E3, What do you think, Jordan?
I think it's going to be the Xbox One S, or Xbox S. One or the other. Scorpio, I don't think really rolls off the tongue very well. I don't know. It'd be the first time that they, really name something with a long name rather than a number, or I guess you can say Elite, but it's still Xbox 360 Elite or Xbox One. But I'm gonna stick with the Xbox S, and they've already, if I'm correct, I think I saw that they've already got like an S logo, for it, which was pretty interesting, as sort of like a teaser, so to speak. So I'm gonna go with the Xbox S or One S, one or the other.
All right. So kind of moving on now, that was about Scorpio, but we're going to move all over the place now. So we're just going to do kind of random fire questions through a whole bunch of different companies, games, etc. So next one up we have, will we see any teaser at all for the next Elder Scrolls game, which would be Elder Scrolls 6? Nothing has been announced yet other than, Todd Howard and Bethesda saying that they're working on it, but it's not, there's nothing kind of expected yet. So do we think Bethesda tomorrow night we will see anything of Elder Scrolls 6? I personally say no. I think it's still a little too early. I think they're going to talk about Fallout 4 VR. I think they're going to talk about Evil Within and a few other things, Wolfenstein, maybe even their new IP, because we know they're working on another IP. But I do not think we'll see anything from Elder Scrolls 6. What do you think, Bert?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of rumors on the next Elder Scrolls game and even like a sci-fi take on it. I think we'll see a teaser with one of those famous like trailers that we see from them, but I don't think we're going to see any gameplay and a very slim chance of seeing anything at all. So, Jordan?
Yep. I think that there's possibility that we might see something, just like Bert said. I don't think it's going to be, very detailed. Might be, they like to do like, get really smarmy and just show the text up there, Elder Scrolls 6 or, whatever, maybe give the name of it. But I don't see much in the way of gameplay or anything at this stage, especially since they just got finished releasing Morrowind on their Elder Scrolls Online. And I don't necessarily know if they would want to steal the thunder from that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
At this point.
That's a good point. All right. Mario Odyssey, the game that I bought a Switch for, a game that I'm sure many people are going to buy a Switch for. Will that be given a release date in 2017? I'm going with yes. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they delay it. But if you look at Switch sales right now, the franchise is on it. What's going to be coming later this year? Odyssey's the king. And if they want to nail that first holiday with the Switch, Mario's the game to do it with. So I think we will see it this year. What do you think, Jordan?
Yep. I have no clue, so that's going to be my answer for stuff that I have no clue about. So, yep.
All right.
I agree.
What do you think, Bert?
Yeah, I actually think we're going to get a delay from Nintendo on Mario Odyssey. I think we're going to be seeing something that actually segues into our next question and prediction. I think we're going to see a lot of ports coming from the Nintendo Wii U. There might even be an announcement of the next thing we talk about, so I'm not going to take the breath out of that one. But I think we'll be actually seeing some more ports from the Wii U, and I think Odyssey will get pushed to spring of 2018. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I've got the sinking feeling that that's going to happen, but maybe I'm trying to will. There's a few things on here I'm trying to will into existence. So Mario coming this year is one of them. All right, and as you said, well, let's segue into the next one then. So two-part question, really. With Nintendo's Direct event, will we see Smash Brothers at the event? And will it be a new Smash Brothers, or will this be another Wii U remaster in the vein of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? So I am going to go out and say, honestly, I don't have a clue either way on this one. I'm going to say we will see it, and it will be a remaster again. Something, Smash Brothers, whatever they want to name it, Deluxe. But it will be the Wii U with some added characters and stages, etc. What do you think, Bert?
Yes, I think we are going to see a Smash Brothers port. I think one will even potentially be demoed with some gameplay footage on stage. Unfortunately, I think it is going to be a port of the Wii U. Those things drive me crazy, especially that they were just out 2 years ago, and I think it's going to be a port with very little remasters, very similar to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And I think we're not going to see a Switch Super Smash Brothers for a while. So I'm thinking maybe fall of 2018, if not 2019, for a Super Smash, unless it's been kept super under secret. I don't see it anytime soon.
Yep. Jordan, any thoughts on this one?
Well, I mean, obviously I'm not a Nintendo guy, but I can make the business case for it because a lot of the other platforms basically do pretty much the same thing, and I actually agree with both of you on that. It would seem to make the most business sense in order to do that, especially because they're going to want to try to capture the momentum as much as possible of the Switch, and they're going to obviously want to bring something out the fastest way in order to do that without reinventing the wheel and stunting that momentum that they're seeking to try to build would be to get a remaster out, add a couple bells and whistles to it, make a couple of new characters. Obviously there's going to be an update in the graphics, possibly the music, and then just call it a day.
Yeah, and I don't want to spend too much time on this one, but the more I think about it, Smash Brothers on the go, they've been really pushing that competitive and mobile gaming thing. So Smash Brothers on the go would give them time this fall to delay Mario to 2018 as well. So I guess we'll see.
One last thing on it, Ains, and we can move. I just want to mention, I think Nintendo's going to be pushing out a lot of Wii U remasters to the, I should say not even a remaster, a port with a few extra things, which I guess is a remaster, because the Wii U didn't sell a lot of units as a console. The Switch is selling gangbusters right now, so I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of those because they're not those Nintendo games aren't that dated, and they actually still look really good. And you just bring them to the Switch, they're going to look really good on there, so people are going to eat that up.
Just as another comment to that, and I don't want to spend too much time on this either and let you guys move on, but I think that if I were Nintendo, I'd be concerned about the pattern of starting really hot and then fading. And with a lot of the past Nintendo efforts, even with the Wii and things like that, they were really hot commodities very early on in their life, and then they faded very, very fast. So given the fact that they're going to want to try to make as much money on this as possible, just in case it fades again, it would still make more sense for me to try to get as many things out there as possible in order to get consumers to basically rebuy these products all over again. For the infusion of cash, because if they go and they wait until they have, I guess, whatever AAA IP that they want to do a year or 2 years from now or 3 years from now, there's a possibility that nobody's going to be using the Switch, or they're not going to get the numbers that they want for the sales of that software. So
that's a great point. Yep.
Very good. All right, let's talk about some Sony stuff for briefly here. So Days Gone. Days Gone was one that was actually on stage twice last year at E3. It was already shown in gameplay. We know quite a bit about it, but it's expected that we will see it, a full gameplay demo, some character reveals, etc. this year. Will that release in 2017? And I am going to say yes. I think that Days Gone is going to be one of the maybe 2 big titles that Sony uses this fall. But I think, Bend has been working on that work for a while, and I think that's probably further along or needs less time to bake than, say, God of War or something of that nature. So, yeah, I think we'll see it this year. What do you think, Bert?
I think it's going to be coming out holiday of 2017, and I think it's going to get a lot of pro support. I think they're going to try to push some of the pro, since Scorpio is going to be getting a lot of the attention this time. So I do see it coming out this year.
I see it coming out this year as well. From the gameplay videos that I have seen, the game looked like extremely fleshed out. In terms of, it didn't look, like they just put together a small demo or something like that with shoddy graphs or something to give like a tech demo. And this guy was running around and killing zombies and stuff like that. So it looked very, very good, and it looked very tuned to be released. I think it's going to come out for the holiday season as well.
Very good. We all agree. Excuse me. All right, one of the big ones. During Sony's press conference, will we see Bloodborne 2? I honestly don't know one way or another. Well, most people don't know one way or another. I don't necessarily think so, but again, I want to will it into existence, so I'm going to say yes. I think we will see it. I think that it'll be a very brief video, not an actual gameplay demo, but just a video with, that kind of closes with the Bloodborne 2 logo, and the crowd will go nuts. Jordan, any thoughts?
I'm going to say yes as well. And the only reason why to be perfectly honest with you, for anything dealing with Sony, I honestly believe that everything on all these questions that we're going to be asking about, Sony or any Sony IPs, the answer should be yes. Because if I was in Sony's shoes, everybody knows that Scorpio is the big gorilla, at this point in time. And I would be trying everything in my power, to try to create some excitement and momentum in order to probably take away a little bit from the Scorpio launch as much as possible. So personally, I think that if, almost anything is on the table with Sony, everything is on the table with Sony. If it's a Sony IP, or it has something to do with their hardware software, my answer is probably going to be yes for it.
Very good.
Yeah, so my answer is also a yes. I think we're going to get a video. I don't think we're going to see any gameplay, and I bet you it launches in fall of 2018. I think it's going to be another one of those typical Sony's releases where it's announced, we don't see it for a while. So
right.
I sure hope so, though. I love Bloodborne 1, despite it not selling crazy numbers. I really hope it shows up.
Me as well. All right, so Bethesda, let's talk about a major thing they announced last year and we haven't seen since, and that is Fallout 4 VR. Many people think that if Fallout 4 was to be done in VR as a full title, meaning fully done in VR, that it could be one of those system sellers for virtual reality. No one really knows what's going on with it, what platform it is. I'm going to say yes, we will see it. I'm going to say that it's going to be one of the highlights of the Bethesda conference. And I think that there will be some partnership with Microsoft on it. Even though we know virtual reality is not really coming to Scorpio this year, I think that depending on what headset does, become compatible with Scorpio, that there's just going to be some type of tie-in there, just given the previous relationship with Bethesda and Microsoft. What do you think, Bert?
I actually think I'm going to switch it up with you. I think it's going to be a Sony VR thing. I think it is coming. If we remember even Fallout 4 when it launched, it wasn't exactly pushing power on either console. To me, it was kind of a dated game from a graphical standpoint. It was just kind of cool to see it on the new consoles, and it was kind of a surprise for everybody. But I don't see it being some kind of massive hardware pusher, and I think it'll be on the PlayStation stage instead of the Microsoft stage. Jordan?
I believe that they're going to do it as well. I think Bethesda's going to want something, as sort of a way to, I guess you could say, generate some cash before the next Elder Scrolls. So why not release a game in VR and then sell it at full price? I think this probably has the potential for releasing, in time for Christmas as well. And I wouldn't be surprised to actually see it on all capable platforms. So I mean, if they're going to release it on the Sony, they're going to release it on the PC. If they're going to release it on, Xbox Scorpio, or even, the One, I think they're going to release it on all three of the platforms, because these platforms are so tied closely together as far as programming for them, in my opinion. So, and, as far as the timing of it, the majority of the work has really already been done for that game. It's not like they have to create, new art assets or the storyboards or any of that kind of stuff. It's just basically converting it over into a virtual reality format. So I don't think there's going to be really a whole lot of work in regards to it. It sort of reminds me of the when they do a Elder Scrolls remaster. They're just really kind of updating it for modern platforms. And since the game came out such a long time ago, these platforms should be able to run it with no problem.
All right. So 3 unique answers there. All right, so Sea of Thieves, very big new IP for Microsoft by Rare. Technical alphas have been going on for a while. The feedback, they're under strict NDA, so we don't know too much about it, but the feedback has been very, very positive. Do we think Sea of Thieves will release this year in 2017? I'm going to say no, I don't. I think it'll continue to go through alphas, likely a beta later this year. But I think that there's other Microsoft IPs and third-party agreements that we'll see later this year. I think Sea of Thieves will be a either spring or possibly, depending on development, even a fall release title for Xbox and Scorpio next year. Bert, what do you think?
Yeah, so Sea of Thieves, they got a lot of stage time last year. I think we are going to see it in a bigger scale this year than we did last year. I actually think it's going to be released in Q1 of 2018. I don't see it in the fall. I see other games coming in the fall that we'll talk about in a minute, but that's my short prediction on it.
For me, I really don't know too much about Sea of Thieves. I haven't really been following it. So I'm going to go with my standard answer of yep.
All right.
It will release and launch in fall of 2017.
It'd be great if it did, honestly. But we'll see. All right. Biggest one for me, of course, as if you couldn't tell, I'm a Halo fan. Will we see any teaser for Halo 6 this year? Yes, I think we will. I think it'll be brief. I think one of their traditional kind of 45-second to a minute Master Chief led teasers, but I think that's about it. I don't think we're going to see anything else of Halo 6 specifically. Whether or not we see another IP from 343 is the current rumor, which I would love to be true, of course. So no idea on that one. But in terms of Halo 6, I think we will get a teaser, but it'll be brief with really no big information, nothing about a beta yet or any dates or anything of that nature. What do you think, Jordan?
I'm going to say probably as well. And it's probably also going to be shown on the Xbox S. Let's see what I did there. So, I noticed that it's not on here as well, but I actually also think that they're going to show another Forza in some way, shape, or form on the Xbox S as well. They're going to, because those I feel are the 2 premier IPs that are on the Xbox that Microsoft really loves to show off, and in every launch of every hardware platform, they've always had something dealing with those 2 games on it every single time.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Halo 6 will be teased with a trailer similar to the one that we saw with Chief standing in the desert with his cloak on, but I think we'll see a bit with Locke and Chief as kind of a follow-on 5. I think it's probably going to be a fall of 2018 release. However, I don't see any gameplay at this E3 at all. I'm thinking a under 30-second teaser to appease all the Xbox One fans.
Yep, agreed. Back to Nintendo. Well, Nintendo, given the popularity of the NES Classic, and we've commented on previous Bitcasts of the bizarre decisions around that, but will they unveil a SNES Classic? Yes, I think they will. The NES was a huge hit. The SNES is nearly as beloved. For someone like me, I actually love it more. It's one of my favorite systems of all time. So I don't see any reason why they wouldn't do that. It's an absolute guarantee to make money, I would say, for them. So yeah, I do think we'll see that in some form. Bert?
I'm actually thinking no, not at E3. I think it might be at TGS. I think they're going to focus on Switch and their new handheld, the non-3DS, quite a bit with software for that. And I don't think we're going to see it at all at E3, but here's me hoping we do hear something from it. Unfortunately, I think it's going to sell out and it's going to be hard to find again like the NES. So. Jordan? I'm
inclined to agree as well that I think they're really going to be trying to focus on the Switch. They're not going to want to muddle the message too much, and they're going to try to focus on any of the software and IPs that they have coming out for the fall.
All right, so Nintendo, you heard that right. You got to have it come out or at least announce. That way I get a free 2 points on these guys. So Spider-Man on PS4, very popular. In terms of the announcement last year, a lot of press, a lot of people clamoring for it. Obviously, the new Spider-Man movie's coming out soon. Do we think that'll release this year in 2017? My answer on this one is yes as well. I think that Insomniac's been hard at work on it. We know that we're going to see it on Monday, probably at length. And I do think that that's going to be the other title to go with Days Gone in terms of PlayStation exclusives that we'll see in 2017. Bert, what do you think?
I do think we're going to see Spider-Man. At first, we had talked about it on our Bitcast about it kind of tying in near the movie launch. I think it's actually going to be sometime in September that we see it. So I do see it coming out this year. I see it before all the console and the big releases of holiday. But I honestly don't think it can go that much further past the movie while it's riding on the hype of both of those. I think it's going to be an amazing game. It's got a great developer behind it. So I think we will see it.
Yeah, and I'm going to say the same thing. They're not going to want to release a game like that too far after the movie. They're going to want to ride the hype wave of the film coming out, which I think you said was September.
The movie comes out in July. I personally think the game will release in September.
Is the movie coming out in July? Yeah. They have to release it this year. There's no way in the world, because I mean, by the time they go and they release it next year, a lot of the hype of the movie is gone. They might even release it earlier than that.
All right. And do we think, so I had this written up as, will Sony double down on VR games and accessories? I guess what I mean by that is, will we see a chunk of Sony's press conference time go towards PlayStation VR specifically? And will they introduce some sort of new IP that'll be a kind of a major VR title and possibly new accessories, like new replacements for the Move controllers, things like that? So I'm going to say yes. I do think that they are going to dedicate some time to PlayStation VR, and I think we'll see a new we'll say AAA for lack of a better word, VR game for PSVR. In terms of the Move controllers, I think that's needed, but I don't know if we see that iteration on the controllers until maybe a PSVR 2. I'm not sure, but I do think that Sony's going to spend some time on PSVR at E3's conference. Jordan, what do you think?
Well, I'm hesitant to use the words double down, because to me that sort of indicates that they're really going to be putting twice the effort towards trying to pitch, the PSVR and all the new games. I think that there is going to be a presence that's there. They're going to show things, that are going to be in VR. Again, like I said, everything is on the table when it comes to Sony. So overall, I think the answer is yes, but to the level and the commitment that they're going to be putting in out, I'm actually really not too sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Jordan on that. I don't know if it's going to be a double down. However, I think they're going to talk about it. As we've kind of seen, the PSVR numbers have not been just totally amazing. I think the software has been lacking, and I think the cost just to get the console and your headset and your headphones and everything is really expensive. So I'm not sure if Sony has kind of learned from their experiment that VR is still not perfect and where everybody wants it to be. and the software has been just totally kind of lame, with the exception of about 4 or 5 titles that are fun to play. And kind of bouncing back on the Fallout thing, I think they're really going to need an awesome AAA VR game to play. So I think they're going to mention it. I think they're going to show off about maybe 2 or 3 new titles and kind of leave it at that. I don't think they're going to really spend too much time on it. That's just my personal ideas on it, though.
And the other point I want to make is that in Sony's shoes, especially with the sales numbers for the PSVR, I got to think that they're probably concerned that this might turn into another Kinect. And that has to be a concern. That's not getting the level of support that they would like. The sales numbers are not well, and there's not a whole bunch of software that's coming out that's really taxing and showing off the performance features of that piece of hardware. So, it's really. I'll say this: it's quite possible that if they don't show anything, it could be that they might be walking away from it. I doubt that. I still think they're going to support it, but if we don't see anything at all about it, I don't know. I would be concerned about the future of it.
Yeah, I think the Kinect comparison is a really good one. I think kind of what I was getting at earlier is that they're going to show off 2 or 3 things and not spend too much time on it. If those 2 or 3 things sell really well, then they'll kind of spend more time on it in the near future. If they show off things and they don't do well, I think we're going to see something similar to Kinect 1.0 and 2.0, where the actual console makers kind of just say, you can do a few things with it if you want, but not too much in general.
All right, guess we'll see. All right, so switching it up a bit, what classic Nintendo character or mascot, whatever word you want to use, will make an appearance? So obviously, Mario's coming, we know. But, they have a whole range of other characters. For me, I'd like to say Donkey Kong, kind of why I wore the shirt today. But as an honest answer, I think, and whether or not you consider this a character, I don't know, but I'm going to say Pikmin. I think that Pikmin as an IP is going to be shown for the Switch. It'll be a new game, and I think that's what we'll see, combination with Smash Brothers, etc. But I don't think we're going to see a new IP for any other big singular character. I think Pikmin's going to be it. What do you think, Bert?
Yeah, so me being kind of the Nintendo guy and our staff here, I actually think we're going to see Samus from the Metroid series. There's actually been a lot of rumors circling around of a new Metroid Prime on the horizon. Whether it be something that's coming in 2017 or 2018, I think we might see something from them. I think they have to have Metroid Prime coming soon. If not this E3, maybe next E3 or another one of those Nintendo Direct things. So I think Samus from Metroid Prime is around the corner.
I'm going to say Sonic the Hedgehog.
Nice.
Obviously Mario is gonna have a big presence. That's there. He always does. I mean, I think that really in all of these Nintendo when they talk about Nintendo, these characters, all of them really kind of make a sort of a presence, there in some way, shape, or form, even if they don't show a game. I was actually hoping that there would be a Metroid Prime. I played them before; they were okay. Doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to get a Switch, but it would be really exciting if they actually did come out with another game for that. But other than that, all I really got is Mario, Princess Peach. I'll go with that one for my daughter.
All right,
there you go.
I think you may win that one, but I know I agree with Bert, or I should say, don't agree with Bert, but I hope you're right, Bert, because I think that I'd much rather see a new Metroid than I would a new Pikmin personally. Right. So we'll see. Yeah. So Sucker Punch is a developer famous for the Infamous series on PlayStation. They've since Infamous and Infamous First Light on PS4. They've kind of been just developing quietly away. That we know they're working on a new IP. Is it time that we see that? Will we see that at this E3? And I'm going to say yes. Kind of to Jordan's point earlier around Sony is gonna bring out all the guns they have, right? I think that's just another one in their back pocket that they were saving for this time period to use. So yes, I do think we'll see it. Bert, what do you think?
Gosh, I have never been a huge fan of the Infamous series. I haven't minded them, but I don't think that they're the amazing AAA games that a lot of the fans of the Sony wagon love. I think we will actually see another Infamous sequel or follow-up or whatever you want to call it in that series. And I do think we're going to see Sly Cooper make a return in the near future. I'm not sure if E3 is the time for it, but with that kind of platformer coming back and kind of seeing a resurgence, I think we're going to see Sly Cooper in the near future.
Yeah, I also didn't play Infamous as well. I haven't played one. I've seen the gameplay. It looked like it was interesting. I could have played it, but I've got a backlog that's like 3 years long. So it was just one of those things where, I'm not gonna really get around to it. I think that because of the success of the previous two, at least for Sony PlayStation fans, it's almost a foregone conclusion that we're going to see a third one or a sequel. As to if it's going to actually show up. Yep.
Okay. All right. So Battlegrounds, very, very popular game right now on for broadcasting, streaming. We touched on it previously. It has been announced that the game is coming to Xbox. They've reaffirmed, developer just this week reaffirmed that it is coming to console later this year. So the big question is, will the game show up in any form at E3? And with the mention of Xbox, will it show up on Microsoft stage specifically? Excuse me. I'm gonna throw a long bomb here, and I'm gonna say yes. I don't honestly believe it, but I've just got something telling me that this is one of those surprises Microsoft has in their pocket. And I think that with the popularity of Battlegrounds right now, the Battle Royale game scene growing, some of the comments from some of the Microsoft executives who play the game and stream it, I just have this sense that we may see that on a Microsoft stage. Jordan, what do you think?
I have no clue.
No clue.
That's
really, all right. You don't. That's all right.
The interesting thing is that I really don't even know anything about Battlegrounds. So it's one of those things that has probably flown under the radar. For me. I had seen I think a video of it earlier, and a buddy of mine was telling me about it, how awesome it was, and basically, it's like a last man standing eventually, and the circle continues to get smaller and smaller and smaller. But I really don't know anything too much about it.
All right, Bert, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we're going to see it. I'm not sure if it's going to be on the main stage and get a ton of play time. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is kind of a bigger PC game. Is that right, guys?
Yeah, it's PC only right now, 100 player. Yeah.
I think this type of gameplay game is going to be kind of the direction that a lot of PC games are going, outside of the obvious shooters and RTSs that exist. But I think the console world is going to try to actually pick up on it in some form. So I do see Microsoft, especially with the more power coming from the Xbox One Elite S, we'll be seeing that. So yeah, I do see it.
All right. So one of the biggest rumors this week that seems to have a little more validity than a lot of the fake leaks is Splinter Cell. So franchise, beloved, typically was associated with Xbox years and years ago. Rumors that that's one of those IPs that's going to be returning this year. So we're not talking about any specific platform here, but will Splinter Cell itself return this year somewhere at E3? I'm going to say yes. I do think that. Just based on conversations I've had, people I've spoken to, some of the things I've seen, I think it's probably time we see that franchise come back. Obviously, Sony and Microsoft are fighting heavily for any big franchise marketing rights development they can get on each respective platform. So whether or not it's Sony, Microsoft, I don't really know, but I do think we'll see Splinter Cell in some form. What do you think, Bert? I know you were a Splinter Cell fan, were you not?
I'm a huge Splinter Cell fan, and unfortunately, I'll probably get hate comments, but I like it more than Metal Gear Solid. So we'll see what happens with that. And I love Metal Gear Solid. One thing that I'm kind of curious on is if they're going to kind of go with the new take of Sam Fisher, with the new voice actor and the new look, or are they going to kind of bring the old voice actor back and have him? Was it Mike Ironside that played him?
Yes, Michael Ironside.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he is Sam Fisher, kind of like Kevin Conroy as Batman and all that stuff. So I hope they bring him back. I hope they have more of the gritty kind of Sam Fisher, and I actually think it's going to be cross-platform. I'm not sure if it's going to be focused on one stage versus the other. So fingers crossed for Ruby.
I played the first two Splinter Cells. I didn't think I played the third one. Then was there a fourth one that they went and they changed and split off and went with the new guy. I'd
Yeah.
already kind of left the series when Splinter Cell, first came out. I thought it was revolutionary because a game like that had never been out before. There was a number of new things that they were doing, with the, textures, being able to see through curtains and shadows, and how it was a really great experience. That having been said, I think it would be great if they would bring it back, but I'm with Bert. Sam Fisher, Michael Ironside is Sam Fisher. So if it's the new guy, whatever.
Yep.
But if it's Sam Fisher, I might actually delve back into the series.
All right.
So I'm going to say yeah, but only because I'm hoping so.
Yeah, see, we got to will some of these things. Exactly. All right, so Below. Most people are going to be like, what the hell is Below? Well, Below was a game.
Would be me.
Below is a game that was shown for the first time in 2013, if I recall correctly. Is that right? Yeah. So it's been a while, and it's known as an indie game. But at this point, we haven't really seen much of it. We know it's still coming. The developer said it's still coming. They talked about it. I know it's got some procedural generation going on, and there are a lot of systems they were trying to build into that game. And it's a smaller studio, so maybe they're just taking their time with it. But we know this is coming to Xbox. It's one of those exclusives they have touted. So will we see it at this E3 again? But this time, will we get a release date for Below? I'm going to say yes. I do think we'll see it. I think it's just time. I don't think they're going to spend another year, 2, 3 on this level of game. I think it's time that it comes out and they put a date on it. Whether or not it gets delayed again, who knows? But I do think they put a date on it. What do you think, Bert?
Yeah, I think we're going to see something on it. For people that are kind of unaware of it, to me, when I watched the trailers and stuff, it was kind of like a mix between like an RPG and Rime, that new game that recently came out. The art style is similar. However, to me, kind of the development schedules come to me as something like a No Man's Sky, to where people loved it when they saw it, and then we have no idea what was coming, and then it kind of fell off the radar, and then obviously No Man's Sky launched, and I'll leave that alone. But yeah, I think we're going to see something from it at E3. I don't know if it's going to be the main stage or something like a Crackdown or a Forza or something, but I think we're going to see more on it.
Bert said it before I did. This really sounds like a No Man's Sky scenario. I'm actually going to say no. I don't think that we're going to get a release date. And the reason why is if I were the people from Below, there's no way in the world that I'm going to give a release date until I know it's actually going to come out. And I would be doing that, and that it's finished. And the reason why I would be doing that is because I would be looking at the release of No Man's Sky as the example of what not to do as a small independent studio.
Very good. All right, so the next question is uniquely worded, so make sure we're thinking about this correctly here. So Cuphead, as you can see, got the Cuphead poster here. I've actually had that framed and up on the wall since last year. One of the most anticipated games for me, for sure. We know that they've been holding it off. They've been continuing development. We know that the studio said that it is going to release this summer. As I said on a previous Bitcast, we haven't heard from them in a few months, so I was expecting, some big announcement at E3. So the question we're asking is, will this Cuphead be available to play in some form before E3 finishes? So by the end of this week, will there be a demo or a beta or something that you can go and download and actually play Cuphead in your house? Again, I'm saying yes. I think that they've been holding it off specifically for E3. I think this is a title that's going to immediately bring some exposure back to Xbox because it has created so much press since it was released and with the videos and things. I think that they're either going to say there's a demo and give a release date of August or July, or excuse me, August or September, or they're just going to say Cuphead's available, $20, $30, go get it. Jordan, what do you think? Any thoughts on Cuphead?
That's been under my radar as well. I actually really don't know too much about it. It looks like sort of a, if I remember, like a cutesy, Walt Disney era cartoon.
Yeah, that's correct. So it's like a run and gun shooter with 1930s hand drawn animation.
Yeah. So it looked like it was very interesting. It'd be nice for it to come out. So I'm gonna go with you. Sure. Yep.
Okay.
Let's make it happen.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah,
Bert,
I think we're all going to end up getting the same score.
Well, I'm actually going to disagree with you guys on it coming out on E3 week. I think we're seeing an August release. I don't know what's telling me why or whatever reason, but I think it is going to come out this summer. It's going to stay to this summer. However, it's going to be in August. However, I hope so much that it actually comes out by the end of the E3 week. So in June, that would be amazing. I'd be picking it up right away.
So no beta, no demo either. Just release date in August.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So God of War, one of the other gigantic titles for PlayStation 4. We saw the gameplay demo last year. Looks fantastic. Really looking forward to it. Huge advertisement at E3 outside the Expo Center this year. So will it get a release date, and will that release date be this year? So I think it will get a release date. I think we're going to see more of it, actual gameplay. I think we're going to get a release date, but I think it's going to be spring. I will say in the March, April timeframe of 2018. I still think Days Gone and Spider-Man are their titles for 2017. What do you think, Bert?
Yeah, I'm actually, you stole my thunder there. I think it's also going to be spring 2018, just because I think it's going to be super weird to see God of War again for a third time back-to-back years at E3 2018. I mean, how many times can you talk about a game, show footage, and even gameplay, and then say, oh, hey, it's coming, and it'll be 3 years going? I think it is 2018 spring.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you as well. By now they've had plenty of time to work on it. They might have something playable for people, at least the press anyway. Showing more of the gameplay mechanics and possibly a little bit of the story. But I don't see that coming out this fall.
All right. So obviously we kind of touched on it, is that Sony's going to fight Scorpio with everything they have, right? And try to diminish that launch. So knowing that, will we see a PlayStation 4 Pro bundle and or price drop this year? I think we will. I think the Pro is going to go down to $349.99, and I think we will see some bundles. I think on the last Bitcast I mentioned that we may see a Spider-Man bundle, so like a PlayStation 4 Spider-Man themed, console, or something that bundles up something like Horizon Zero Dawn, which is an absolute showcase for the Pro, especially on a 4K TV. See that bundled with the Pro for $349.99. So if Scorpio comes out at what we're hoping is $400, but most likely $500, comes out at $500, and you can get a PS4 Pro for $350 plus Horizon. That's a good bet for Sony in that regard. So what do you guys think, Jordan? You want to give your thoughts?
Well, I think that this question has a major dependency, and I think that dependency is really going to depend upon whether or not what the Xbox S's introduction price is going to be. So I'm going to say that if the introductory price is going to be like $399, then I think that we're going to see a situation where the PS4 gets a price drop. I don't know. I think they're going to have a bundle regardless. Because they tend to, these guys always tend to have some type of bundle during the holiday season in order to try to help, sell either it might be an old game, or some new game that they're going to, try to use in order to sell the system. But I think it just depends upon whether or not Scorpio is $399 or $499 and higher. If it's $499, I don't think we're going to see a price drop. Sony doesn't have to do a single thing with the price. They'll introduce a bundle to add some added value, but I don't think that they're going to drop the price.
Yeah, so I'm exactly with you guys almost on every point. I think, but to add to it, I think the PS4 standard is going to get a price reduction no matter what. And I guess that's the Slim now. I'm not sure if they're selling the original SKU for the PS4 anymore. I think the PS4 Pro is going to get a price drop to $349, and I think that the bundle is going to be $379 or still $399. So I think we're going to see something. But to your points, and I gave my prediction earlier, I think the Xbox One Scorpio is going to be $499 or $450. So depending on what those do, will kind of change my answer on that one. So I think it is going to come in at $450. I think it's going to be really hard to say that a PS4 Pro is worth $399 when you see the hardware of the Scorpio. So they're going to have to do something to combat that in some form.
Yep. All right, so Red Dead Redemption 2, one of if not the most anticipated title for many people like myself. We know it's delayed to 2018 already, but we also know that Sony has the marketing deal on it. So Rockstar doesn't do their own E3 conferences. Rockstar always does their own thing entirely. But will we see Red Dead Redemption 2 in some form at this E3, whether it's on Sony stage or some type of video, what have you? So I am going to say no on this one. I think that the world has already gone crazy for the game. They're not going to have any trouble selling it or pushing it, knowing that they're now taking an extra 6 to 8 months to develop. I think they're just going to go back to development, and we'll see it maybe later this year, maybe PSX or different game show packs or something like that. But no, I don't think we're going to see it at E3. Jordan?
I agree, and it really goes back to what you were saying earlier. Rockstar kind of does its own things when it comes to really releasing gameplay footage and information about its games. I actually can't think of any particular time in which Rockstar has actually relegated that to any of the other manufacturers. So for me, I'm going to say that everybody already knows that look, Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to sell. They don't have to release a single video, and just have all you have to do is put a splash screen with the name of the game up there, and that game is still going to sell if they released it. But that having been said, I'm going to agree with you. I don't think we're going to see it on Sony's stage.
I'm thinking we're going to see a longer trailer to what we saw. I don't think we're going to see any gameplay, any official release dates or anything. So exactly what you guys were saying, but I think we'll see a slightly longer trailer, and I'm thinking by like literally 30 seconds longer. We're not going to see anything massive or completely revolutionary that we haven't seen already. Just maybe more scenery, more, just a bigger landscape of whatever the world is, and that's about it. Nothing else.
Okay, but you do think we'll see it in some form?
Yeah, I think we're going to see it on the Sony stage, kind of like you were saying, due to that. And I think it's going to be a short trailer that they talk about in their upcoming games of 2017 fall and 2018 spring and Q1.
Okay. All right, here's one of the big talked about things across the industry. Will Microsoft announce a new AAA first-party IP? So something internally built by Microsoft Studios or one of their partners for Xbox and presumably, Windows 10 PCs. I'm going to say yes. I think that there's been a lot of discussion around the lack of first-party IPs, or I should say first-party IP variety. Whether or not that holds weight, we're not getting into here, but there's been a lot of discussion across the industry about it. Phil Spencer has acknowledged it. He's talked at length about it, many, many interviews. I think that this is the E3, given Scorpio coming this year and their focus on rebuilding that public reputation, I think that we will see something that none of us know about today. What do you think, Bert?
Yeah, I do think they kind of have to, almost to an extent. They've been getting kind of killed in the press, despite the press being off on a few things, on exclusives and stuff coming directly from Microsoft that's not a third party that's exclusive to them. So I think they kind of have to do something. However, I have no idea what it is. We've talked about Perfect Dark maybe being that IP. I think that'd be really cool. But I personally have no idea what it is, but I do believe they have to do something that has not been announced yet, like a Crackdown or Forza, like we kind of expect to see at E3. So that's my answer.
I'm going to say yes as well. I'm also going to say I think it's going to be something that's really kind of tailor-made to show off the power of the Scorpio. Because typically, like I said, we will see something from Halo, but I don't think they're going to have play ready for that. It's possible that they're going to maybe have some tech demos for Forza. That's a possibility, but that's really not a new IP that would, create something. So I would like to see them have, something that's new that nobody has ever seen, to where we don't have something to match our expectations against, and we can look at it and see what the Scorpio can actually do.
Very good. So going back to Sony, will Sony revive? And let me preface this statement, or this question. So we know Crash Bandicoot's coming. Activision owns it, but it's coming to PlayStation as what seems to be a timed exclusive in June. We know that Microsoft, we've talked about this before, right? Platformers are kind of coming back. Mascots are kind of coming back. So will Sony revive one of their classic mascots for a new platforming game? So they have Spyro, they have Jack and Daxter, they have Sly Cooper, which Bert mentioned earlier. Do we think we'll see one of those core mascot games coming back at the Sony press conference? I'm going to say yes, I do. I think that out of those, I just have this gut feeling that we're going to see something out of Spyro. It sounds kind of weird. I know we had Spyro in one of those. What's the game with the little figures? Skylanders, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Spyro was included, and some other kind of third-party stuff. But I do think we'll see something. Spyro is my gut, but I do think in one form or another we'll see one of these mascots come back for Sony. Jordan, any thoughts on that one?
I think that's a possibility. Like I said, with Sony, anything is on the table with them because they're going to be trying to do everything in their power to show that they still got what it takes in order to go up against Scorpio, mostly with software. And it would make sense. I would actually like to see them bring back Jak and Daxter.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bert. I was going to say I was a massive Jak and Daxter fan as well. I love those original 2 games. So that would certainly make me happy. What do you think, Bert?
Yeah, I was just looking back, looking at my collection. I have every single Jak and Daxter, so I love that series of games. However, I actually think it's going to be a new Ratchet and Clank. It's kind of funny how many IPs Sony has in that type of genre. And the only reason I think Ratchet and Clank is because they've been kind of pushing that game a lot on sales. They did the remaster of the first one. Even on the Vita, it's getting a lot of sales all over the place, and people are trying to get it at a discount rate from Sony. So I think it'll be that. However, I would love to see a Jak and Daxter, just because I love that series, and the characters are just too great to kind of pass up on.
Very good. All right, so we're really at the tail end, and final question here, and I added this one as going back to Jordan's point about us all having the same score. I figured this one wasn't a simple yes/no, so we could all kind of take a stab at what we think here. But we know Crackdown 3 is going to be at E3. Developer actually reiterated on Twitter it was either yesterday or the day before, that the game is coming in 2017. It is expected to be a highlight, or for Scorpio, really push the platform, the whole cloud computing thing we've heard about a million times. But we know it has large-scale multiplayer with destruction. How many players do we think is Crackdown 3 going to support in a lobby? So if you think, is it 4-on-4, 8-on-8, something like Battlefield, that's 32-on-32. What do we think Crackdown 3 is going to offer? So personally, I think they are going to go 12-on-12. So I'm going to say 24-player multiplayer for Crackdown, and my reasoning really is around the processing that has to take place around the destruction, which is supposed to be much, much larger scale than even we see out of Battlefield or Battlefield 1 or 4. So I just think, knowing that the game has to run on Xbox One as well, not just Scorpio, I think we'll see 12-on-12 being the max there. Bert, you want to take a swing?
Yeah, this is a big swing out in the middle of nowhere, but I think it's only going to be 6-on-6. I don't think it's going to be a massive number, just because of the destruction engine and how big it has to be. But at the same time, that kind of makes me second guess 6-on-6, because how big of a level that you would have to have if you're having 6-on-6 on such a massive level. That might be kind of lame when you just barely find people every once in a while. But with some of the recent games that have been coming out, like your Gears and even something as big as Overwatch, I think massive number of players may not suit the game very well. But I don't know. We have yet to see like true gameplay of Crackdown, so we're taking complete swings in the middle of nowhere. I'm sticking to 6-6.
Jordan,
I'm gonna slot right in between both of you, and I'm gonna say 8-on-8. For no particular reason.
That was the point of the question, right? Hopefully divide us up a little bit.
For no particular reason, it slots right nicely in between 6 and 12.
All right. All right. Well, that's
which, by the way, I'm excited about Crackdown 3. I did not play 2. I played the demo of it, and I thought it was ass. But the first one was great. I really enjoyed it. And I remember seeing the tech demo of what they were able to do with Crackdown 3. It had to have been like 3-4 years ago that I last saw that tech demo. And I haven't really heard anything since from it. So I'm really excited for that to come out. I hope they are able to catch the magic, recapture the magic of the first one.
Yeah, I think that the first one is commonly spoke about. Very well, right? People love Crackdown 1. Crackdown 2, people still liked, but it doesn't have that same kind of love that the first one has. So I think they're aware of that. I guess we'll see, right? It's only we got one day to go. Tomorrow we'll know.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, that's what we had for you today. Like I said, that was our E3 kind of rundown. We'll see. I hope everyone really enjoys the next few days. I know for myself and gamers alike, this is like our Christmas. I've been looking forward to it for months and months, and really, really excited. So just a few kind of things to touch on really quick before we go. We are going to be covering E3 on the site. So at seasongaming.com, you'll find rundowns of each of the major conferences, our thoughts, feedback, just general things to do with every conference, some of the major titles, etc. So if you'd like E3 coverage and want to read some unique opinions on it, definitely stop by. As always, you can find our other Bitcasts and podcasts on the site, on YouTube, on SoundCloud, iTunes, etc. We do have a Facebook group out there for Season Gaming. It's just a discussion group if you like chatting with other fellow-minded gamers in a mature manner, and it's heavily moderated. You won't find any of the some of the things you find on some of the forums on the internet. It's a much better discussion than that. So please look for us. Otherwise, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. I'm Ainsley Bowden. Thanks again to Bert Signs, and special thank you to Jordan for joining us today for the first time. Guys, anything you want to add before we go?
Yeah, this is Bert. I just wanted to mention to everybody, try to catch as much as you can. It's, as we said, this is our Christmas, the time of the year. You can probably find it on streaming sites as well if you want to watch it live. A lot of press has been made about it being on Mixer if you're on Xbox One, and you can kind of enjoy it from there. So a lot of fun stuff coming from E3. Have a good time with it.
And thanks for the invite, guys. It was a very enjoyable time. I'm going to agree with you guys. This is... Well, it's sort of like Christmas. Christmas for me, Christmas is Christmas. That's when I actually get to open up all the games and the gifts that I get. But I always view E3 as like the day, I'm going to be dating myself here, but E3 is like the day that I got the Sears and Roebuck Christmas catalog, where I got to...
I know what you're talking about.
where I got to go through and look at all the toys that I put circles around and check marks on the stuff that I want. And man, by the time Christmas rolled around, that Sears and Roebuck catalog looked like it had been drugged behind a car because I've been opening it up so much. But so that's what I really like. It's like I'm getting ready to get my catalog and start really getting that excitement of what I've got to look forward to during the holiday season, when I can just sit at home for 2.5 weeks or so and just play games. So, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to this week. Thanks very much for the invite, guys, and it was a great time.
Great. One last thing, I'm sorry, I just thought of, is that SoundCloud, where we publish our Bitcast, is actually on Xbox One now as an app, and it works in the background. So you can turn on SoundCloud, turn on your favorite artists, music, etc., or the SG Bitcast in the background while you're playing other games or doing other things around the house. So if you want to kind of listen to us chatter in that way, that's another option for you. So thanks again, everyone. Really appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next week after E3. We're going to do another post E3 Bitcast next Saturday. Should be up by next Sunday. We'll see you then.